Hi everyone, welcome back to the Geterbrewed channel. Today we're doing something pretty exciting. We're brewing a very unique beer. It's a Keptinis beer, and if you're not familiar with the term, Keptinis is Lithuanian for baked. So a key team member here, Ricardus, introduced me to this beer style. He had brought some over. We tasted it, we were blown away by the complexity and the flavours in it, and we want to replicate it here. So what we really wanted to achieve was an experience, a knowledge building exercise, and try and replicate the Keptinis traditional farmhouse beers that they make in Lithuania. So it's a raw ale. Raw ale means that it isn't boiled. We're going to tweak this a little bit to suit our brewery needs. So the plan is to take the mash, bake it in a kiln the same way they would have traditionally done in Lithuania, but bring it back here, sparge it, bring the wort to a boil, add some hops, and then we're going to put it into a rum barrel. Now, we like barrel aging here. We like doing mixed fermentation and spontaneous fermentation. If you take the malting process, what you're doing in the malting process is steeping, germinating, and kilning. And during that process, you're creating starches. There's a kilning stage, which is roasting and baking in a sense. But in this process, what we're actually doing is we're going to be kilning sugars, not starches. That's the bit that interests me, that we're going to create complex sugar chains. And I'm excited to see how that beer develops in the barrel. So we're going to taste the beer as it comes out fresh after the primary fermentation, and then we're going to put it into rum barrels and allow it to age. Now we're going to allow the passage of time and taste that, and if we feel that it's getting complex and it's rolling in the right direction, we will leave it alone. If we feel that it needs something added, then we've got the opportunity to add some bugs, and that bug can get in there then and chew up those complex sugar chains and create something really unique. The process is very similar to normal, so we're going to mash in taking our grist. So the grist is Chevalier Heritage Malt, rye malt and flake torrefied barley, and we're going to mash that for 90 minutes. Then we're going to take some of that mash out and put it into baking trays. Now Ricardus is very talented, as I've said before. He has actually managed to manufacture the baking trays, stainless steel trays. We've been doing a bit of research about the depth in which to make these, so thanks to some of the knowledge that Lars has shared in his blogs and online and in the books and stuff that we've been digesting over the last while, he had suggested sort of 17 centimeters, so we made them 22 to allow a head space in case there's bubbling up of hot sugars during the kilning process. This is experimental for us, brand new research and development, but we've been researching this for a while. So whenever something's new to you, you reach out to fellow brewers to see if anyone else has done anything like this in the locality. No one had experience of it, plenty of people have heard about it, so I asked Ricardus to assist me with some information from his home country, from home brewers in the area, from people making farmhouse ales. So I got some information from him. I read some of the blogs. I bought the Down the Rabbit Hole book from Lars and generally went down the rabbit hole, researched YouTube videos, and just tried to take snippets of information to give us just a bit of knowledge on how to adapt the process to suit us here. Now the difficulty is kilning, so thankfully we have the use of a wood-fired pizza oven, which is a big oven, so we've been able to make it suitable that we can put 4 of these trays into the oven at a time. So then what we're going to do is bring them back here to the brewery, put them into the loiter tun, sparge over the top of them, and put that wort then into the kettle and bring the kettle to a boil.
At this stage we've loitered off all the remaining wort. We've got essentially a dry-ish grain now, and we're going to shovel that out into our big loaf tins. Water to grain ratio was about 4 to 1, very heavy mash. Lots of rye, lots of oats, made for a very kind of stodgy, tough mash, so that was difficult to work with. Took a bit longer than predicted to get all the liquid out. We've got 8 to fill. I think we probably have a bit of excess there, but we're going to fill 8 and then take them away and bake them.
At this stage, the first batch that came out of the kiln was in there for over 4 hours. The stage we're at now is the first bake is complete. So we were expecting it to be a lot more caramelized on top, so we think the depth that we went for was very deep, so we're getting some really nice sort of treacly, caramelly, toffee, you know, crystallization on the top with the sugars. It was really tasty. So what we did was took those 4 out and fired up the kiln again, this time really punching it to get it a lot hotter for the next 4. So we've brought these 4 back.
So while the other 4 are baking away, we're going to add the 4 already done back in, add the hot wort back in, mix it up and then recircuit, and that'll be all sitting ready for the next batch coming.
We had some runoff issues this morning because there's so much rye and oats in the grist. So what we're going to do is put in some rice hulls, empty in the 4 trays with the baked mash, and while we're preparing that there, hopefully the next lot is progressing well in the kiln. So you can see here where it's really crystallized and sort of sticky, and there's a lot of like molasses and sort of toffee and caramel notes in the malt. So went with Chevalier. The reason we went for it is we've used it before in traditional beers, and there's a really nice depth and multiple layers of flavour, almost like a marmalade sort of, you know, sweetness from it. So we're going to pop these in now and give the mash bed a bit of a mix, and then recycle some wort over on top of it just to get ahead of the game while the next batch is finishing off in the kiln. So look, you can see there from the first 4 trays that we've put in, learning experience for us would be there's probably a little bit too much moisture in the mash when it went into the kiln. So you can see, you know, the caramelization, treacle sort of crystallization formed on the top layer and the bottom and the sides. It's almost orangey in the middle, so there's been some sort of Maillard reaction. So the second batch we've got the kiln much higher, but this was over 4 hours, 4 hours 15 minutes of a bake, so it's been a really long bake. The aroma is very complex and interesting, so we're hoping that we can get some more caramelization in the second batch, and we're going to put some wort into this now and do a recirc. We're waiting on the second batch to kiln, and we're hoping that that will be a darker, more caramelized sort of process because of the higher temperature. And obviously the moisture was a learning curve for us, and if this works out, we can take our notes and adapt those to the next batch if we choose to do this beer again. Okay, so we brought the second batch of the stainless steel trays back with the baked mash, and we've got that into the Loiterton and we're sparging now. We've got that really deep golden amber colour, and that's traditional with the style. I would say that one learning experience for us is that the flake torrefied oats have held quite a lot of moisture because of the makeup of them. The husk has held the water. So we had no issue with getting the kiln to a real high temperature. We had no issue with getting that caramelization crust on the outside of it. But just because of the moisture content, it wasn't going, you know, any deeper than maybe the first 10 or 15 mil. So great learning experience. We're really happy with the flavour, really happy with the aroma and taste at this stage, and we're excited to see what will come of this now. So we're going to bring this up to a boil, add some hops, aiming for about 30 IBUs. We're going to use Styrian Golden's hops. We're going to ferment it with AEB's Hordinal Kviek strain at a high temperature, 37, 38 degrees. That'll chew through that in a really quick period of time, maybe 2 days, and then once we get it cleared, we're going to transfer that to the rum barrels, and then time and patience is required just to see how well this beer turns out. Right, look, the beauty for us with experimenting with this is that it's fascinating to learn from historical techniques and to create some really beautiful and amazing layers of flavour in beer. The difficulty for you is patience is required, and it takes a long time for our beers to become commercially available. But please do follow our brewery page on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We will be posting updates there, and we'd like to share this journey with you as we learn, experiment and do R&D in the brewery here. We're really keen to hear if you have any experience, tips, knowledge that you want to share with us in relation to historical brewing techniques like the Keptinis beer, or anything Nordic, farmhouse, wild, spontaneous. We want to hear about it, we want to hear about your experiences, so please share with us. And until next time, happy brewing.